Welcome everybody. I am very fortunate today that I am going to be the interviewer, and I'm interviewing my good friend Johannes Poscharnig. Johannes is the president of the International Social Skills Academy, and he is the author of the High Performance Mental Power Program for fencing. Welcome, Johannes.
Hi, Matthew. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good to see you.
I would love to start by getting you to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be in this position, both from the point of view as a fencer and as a social skills expert.
Well, so, I mean, fencing is in our heart, right? We are both very well connected in the fencing community, and we just love that sport. I can remember when I was like 5-6 years old, I basically started fencing. And I mean, I had some good competitions at my beginning, so I continued, and of course, I progressed from there. Well, when I was like 14, 15, I recognized that I could even have better results if I would work on my mindset, and I would work like on my concentration, my mental stability. And so I started, like reading a lot about it, watching videos and doing courses. And so, then like last year, Matthew and I, so we two were discussing, basically we love that sport so much, and we started the International Social Skills Academy. And so, it was clear that we basically bring these two things together in some way, as I've already been working as a mental coach and as a high performance coach for athletes for 10 years now. So basically we thought, well, it would be great, if so many people out there and fencers can profit from that. And so we came up with the HPMP program, which basically, should give the foundation tools of mental strength and high performance, and bring it to the living room, of people, and should bring it to the fencing venue of so many people out there from US over Europe to Asia, in a way that, they get it very bite-sized pieces, the knowledge that you normally just get in one-on-one coachings. And I think we designed a very good program, and with a great methodology how we teach it.
Yeah, I think I remember the conversation I think we had at the time, which was everybody is stuck at home. It's very hard to train for fencing, and maybe this is the ideal time for people to train their minds for fencing. So yeah, it's
and the thing is, like, I've been interviewing now so many people, and most of them said, okay, now it's not even now, fencing is such a mental sport, like people were like saying it's something between 50 to 80%, maybe even 90%. But Lawrence Holzett, one of our interview partners, basically said he's always wondering why people, go to gym twice a day, training one time fencing, maybe one time gym exercises, one time footwork, whatever, but they forget to train, their concentration, their brain, maybe their cognitive vision, their visualization. They just, leave that by side. And but this is such a crucial part, especially if you think that fencing, even if it's just 50% mental, but imagine how big the impact could be for yourself if you spend just a little bit more time or a little bit more effort in training mental strength, how big the impact can be if fencing is just 50% mental, not even 80 or 90% mental.
Yeah, I think that's a really excellent point. Certainly, one of Lawrence's teammates wears sports glasses for fencing, Richard Cruz, and he wasn't a big fan of them when he first got them. but I remember him telling me the way the optician sold him on it was, he said, well, if you got a 1% advantage in your fencing, you know, surely that would be enough. And so that was kind of Richard's Achilles heel. And he decided, yeah, absolutely. If I'm going to get a 1% advantage, I'm going to do that. Now, obviously, Lawrence is saying it's between 50 and 80% mental. So that's clearly the big thing. Why would you not train it? So, Johannes, tell us a little bit about the International Social Skills Academy as a whole, and then we'll come back to fencing as a specific area.
Great. So we came up, so Matthew and I came up with the idea of the International Social Skills Academy at the World Championships in Wuxi, China, 2017, 18, I think.
2018, yeah.
We met in the hall of the hotel, and we were discussing, what we were basically doing. And I told Matthew that I'm training in mostly companies, but also private people in social competences and social IQ, communication, public speaking, and this sort of stuff. So basically everything about social competences, and mostly in Switzerland, Germany, and Austria. And maybe I was, giving you what I've experienced as a trainer in such a motivated way, because I love seeing. And this is what how I see myself. I bring people from where they are to their desired state, and I see the journey, and I see how people profit from this knowledge in a way that it basically changes their life. Not just in work, but also, of course, if your communication is better, it normally is also better in your relationship. Your relationship benefits from that. Your work environment benefits from that. And of course, if you have, let's say, a job interview, or you want to ask for a raise of money, or if you want to go to your desired university, you need to have that skills, and these skills, you don't find them on the street. Maybe you do, but you have to learn that, and you have to experience that. And this is basically what we are doing with the International Social Skills Academy. We teach that skills that you need, and these skills get more and more important. Like, we just have to think how digitalization now comes in. We work more online, we work more with artificial intelligence, and big studies show, from Harvard, from Cambridge, from Stanford, they all show that social skills get more and more important if you want to achieve what you're desiring, and what your goals are. And this is basically what we are doing within the National Social Skills Academy. We bring that skills to teenagers and children, because we think that the sooner you learn them, the better it is. It's like with everything. When you start learning that skills and experiencing the differences that you can have as a person, with 10 years, 11 years, 15 years, 17 years, rather than 35, 40, well, of course, your life will be different.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah. I think one of the conversations I think we had at the time was about this being the third age of kind of human understanding of success, with IQ being the big thing, when because I'm quite a lot older than you, and IQ being this big thing when I was very young. And then I remember in my 20s, Daniel Goleman wrote his book, Emotional Intelligence, and EQ was the thing. Every company was doing competency-based interviews. And now I think you were the one who told me that Goleman has now written another book, and that social intelligence, SQ, is now the kind of this is the third age of kind of performance marker for humans. And with so many companies training adults, this concept of training children is I think was very obvious to both of us. So from that point of view, how much of your own social competence do you think came from fencing?
From fencing, well, the good thing is that fencing is a very mental sport, first of all. So you train attitude. I think you train self-reflection. You know, you're losing, and if you want to become a good fencer, you basically have to think, okay, what, you know, I'm in the Dan Kellner said in an interview, I mean, in every match normally you do things well and you do things poorly, and this is this self-reflection that you have to do basically after every competition, after every training. And I personally do it, and I have done it, you know, unconsciously but also consciously, after a lot of conversations I had. And I was always thinking, why this person reacted like this, and what did I say that the person had to react like this. You know, if I can give you an example. I was sitting with one of my friends and I basically said, you have to do that. Even if I wanted that the person is doing it, you know, I can say it very differently and with a much higher social intelligence, rather than imposing my idea to the person and telling the person what the person has to do. And of course, the person reacts in a different way, as I would say, what do you think about that idea? And then I highlight the important parts of the idea, and then the person still can decide if the person takes it or not. Um, you know, and I did the same self-reflection with every presentation and every training that I was giving and that I am giving to companies. So this is the first part that I really learned from fencing. And the second part is that, of course, you have an internal world and an internal world, you know, so an external. And if you like fear, you know, if you have fear inside, an internal shift in some way, as on the piste, you normally experience that, you know, also in your internal world, in your external world. So you get one touch, you get another touch, you maybe hit with the floor or with the foil on the floor, you throw your mask, you're discuss with the referee, and this all disturbs you, right? Rather than focusing on your internal world. And this is basically the same thing that happens, you know, when people are in negotiations or in interviews. They're focusing so much on things they cannot manage rather than things they can manage. This all these concepts I really learned from fencing, and I'm teaching them. And now I also know the psychological background from them, why it's so important.
Hello everyone, my name is Johannes Poscharnig. I'm the president of the International Social Skills Academy. With the High Performance Mindset Power program, we designed something specially for fencers. In this 8-week program, we will show you how you can have better results, how you can achieve your goals, and how can mental performance lead you to success. Please take a look. We are very happy to host you in our 8-week program. And now let's continue with the show.
So would you say that in the same way that learning these skills will benefit you as a fencer, actually the being involved in a sport, being involved in something where you're utilizing the skills in a real and environment where there's a cost and a risk, and something that can be won and something that can be lost, is actually a great way of sharpening that skill set? Definitely.
So the good thing is about fencing, right, that fencing is really training that skills and sports in general. And I see so many, you know, former athletes that are super successful in their business career because they were trained as an athlete. And when I was in Stanford, you know, I got to know people, and some of them were athletes, and they told me totally the same, that being an athlete always helps, especially these skills that you have been training as an athlete over years. And of course, you know, in our program we teach some sort of that skills, but also, you know, it's the good thing is that if you have a concept the idea is not to leave that concept in one specific context. So for example, let's talk about goal setting. So of course, if you know how to set myself goals, I can do that for my fencing career, but I can use the same methodology in my business career, or for my school exams, or for my university.
That's great. So you mentioned goal setting.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you mentioned your interview with Lawrence Halstead about focus. What other things can people expect from the High Performance Mental Power Program?
Mm-hmm. So of course, it's an 8-week program. This is what I want to say first. We're basically using an e-learning methodology, which means we bring the knowledge, as I mentioned before, to the living room of the fencers, of young athletes, with group coaching sessions, with videos they can watch, and then if they want, also with one-on-one coachings, where we can really go deeply in the things that everyone needs for him or herself. So of course, the big parts will be goal setting, visualization, focus, concentration, mindfulness as a training, and there are so many other things connected to this. Self-talk is an important aspect. This is what also has been showing in the other interviews, that of course maybe some of our athletes, some of our fencers, maybe also you, have heard of self-talk, and we all know, okay, I have to talk positively to myself, or it's good to have that, but we actually don't do it. We actually have never trained that concept. And the good thing is about the program that it gives you a safe and secure environment where you can rely on, right? And where you get feedback, and where people, are following up with you. So, and this is so important, right? If we want to learn something new, it normally takes 66 days till we really have implemented that in ourselves as a new pattern, as a ritual. And we help people to establish their own rituals before training and before competitions, which normally brings tremendous results, which brings big results. But of course, if nobody is following up, there is a big risk that I will do it one time, another time, maybe a third time in a row, and on the fourth day I forget it. And the fifth day, I say, well, I forget it yesterday, today I don't have time. I'll start next week again, and this just doesn't happen in that program that we're doing.
So one of the main advantages of the program is it's not just delivering you the knowledge, but it's actually putting you in a position where you're using it, and it's becoming something that you're familiar with and becomes part of your normal kind of thought process.
Right. So the idea is, to break the tools down so that everyone can use it. The thing is with, everyone can read, a book about mental training and about sports psychology. It's all fine. But first of all, it's a book, and people often don't use the knowledge from books. Let's be honest. That's what studies say, at least.
There was an Arthur Schopenhauer quote on this one. I think that the acquisition of books is often misinterpreted for the acquisition of the knowledge inside.
Right. I see it with myself. My biggest expense in life are books. I have thousands of books at home. I don't even know how many of these books I was literally reading, or maybe just the cover of the book. And even if I have read it, one time, 2 times, maybe 3 times, I still find new things in it. It's all fair enough. But my biggest steps in my life, I did through courses and this is the most important thing. Knowledge is the one thing, right? We all can Google presentation skills. That's not the question. For example, if it's about presentation skills, but bringing that presentation skills knowledge to a specific concept, so to the environment, to the program, for example, where I can try it out, where I get feedback, where the coach tells me after, with that person interrupting you, you had an internal change of state, and that led you to, not presenting as well as before, or to come back to the fencing project. Okay, you started with your visualization 2 days. What was the third day? Why you have not done it? And the person says, well, it didn't work so well because I have done it, let's say in school when there were people around. This is something you have to experience, and there has to be somebody who gives you feedback to basically skyrocket your your learning curve.
Okay, so if I just put that in a very simple format, so would you say that it's the experience of utilizing the information is what turns it into knowledge?
Right. So knowledge is the one thing, but really, having the knowledge and skill is the one thing, but literally having the ability to use it is something totally different. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really important thing. So the program is going to give you the information. He's going to put you in a position where you're going to use it and repeat using it and improve your usage of it. It becomes part of your earned knowledge. So you know it rather than Google know it.
Right.
So that for me is clearly a huge thing in itself. What would you say are the other kind of highlights with the program? What can young athletes expect to get out of the program beyond that?
Better results in fencing.
Okay.
So that's basically
it's a great answer.
It's better results in fencing, and as I mentioned before, our goal is always that we break it down and in a way that people easily digest it. If we, for example, if you're thinking about, let's say, relaxation methods, of course there are hundreds of variations of that, and if you're Googling it or if you're reading a book, that can be overwhelming, and it can be super overwhelming, and you don't know where to start, and then you maybe try one out but it doesn't work so well. What next? And this doesn't happen in the program, especially as we always give feedback, and as in the coaching process, we start helping people with self-reflection. So it's a very systemic coaching approach that leads to success of the fencer.
Great. So Johannes, the next question I have for you is, how are people going to get hold of you to book onto this program, and if they want to work with you in the future?
So, you can go on our website, which is iss-a.com/hpmp-program. We will show that also in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll put that in the link. Yeah.
You can, depending on from where you are, you can text me. You can send me an email address. Or you can send an email address to the company, so to the International Social Skills Academy. We will all show note that. Or you can reach out to me via WeChat, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, whatever is best for you, and we can either schedule a quick call via Zoom, for example, if you have further questions, and if you're not sure if the program is 100% for you, then we can just have a quick call, and then I explain what it brings and what you can expect from the program.
Okay, so great. What we're going to do, we're going to put Johannes' contact information and the company's contact information in the notes of the video. Right. And there's also a number of other media and social media opportunities to interact with Johannes and ask questions and get a better understanding of whether or not the program's right for you.
Right.
So Johannes, thank you for your time. Thank you for explaining how you got involved in this, and also how the High Performance Mental Power Program came into being.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Johannes. Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.